Welcome to the 2012 Snowball Gala. We're very pleased to have you here. Let me say from the bottom of my heart that I would like to thank all of you who have donated so generously to the foundation this past year. As you know, the funds raised from the Gala last year purchased a transport ventilator, a piece of equipment that's so vital to us in transporting critically ill patients from one part of the hospital to another, or even from one hospital to another hospital. So thank you very much, and we look forward to having you there for us in the future.
An ultrasound report will help us learn more about things we're trying to diagnose. So if a patient has had abdominal pain, we're just looking to see if they've got gallstones to try and rule in or out gallbladder disease. We're looking for whether or not they've got signs of what we call acute cholecystitis. Is the gallbladder needing to come out today? For breast diseases, again, you want to kind of rule in or out things that might be considered worrisome, like a more solid lesion that might represent a cancer, versus a cyst, which is, for the most part, nothing to worry about.
Made an appointment with my family doctor the very next day. When I said lump, they said, come right now. So I did. Got told I would then go in for a mammogram and just follow it up.
If a screening mammogram has shown an abnormality, they'll tell the radiologist whether or not they want just further views on a mammogram or whether they're recommending both a further, what we call a diagnostic mammogram, and an ultrasound. And if there is something seen on ultrasound, they think it's a worrisome lesion, they'll go right ahead and just do the biopsy at that stage under ultrasound guidance.
Got moved right over to ultrasound, right over to a needle biopsy.
Based on the ultrasound findings, then the course of treatment is planned. What's the next best step for this lady?
So I met with Dr. Heed, and we'll never forget that, sitting across thinking this, they would never tell me this news. Nobody would ever tell me this news. And she looked at me and she just says, well, it's not good. It's cancer. Yeah. Just the thoughts that went through my mind were how my daughter was going to feel, knowing that she's watched two older relatives go through it, and in her mind, what's it going to be like for me? And it's a real emotional time, and just being normal for her. I said, well, what do we do now? And I embarked on this journey. And she came in and she said, we have to take a closer look. And my heart sunk. And I was prepared for the worst. And they did a closer look and said, we're going to be moving you over to ultrasound. So I was scheduled for my needle biopsy. The longest 10 minutes of my life, just having it done. And then, of course, the longer wait of waiting for the results. When I went through it the first time, everyone says, oh, gee, what did you do with your hair? And I never told them it had fallen out, and this really wasn't real. This time I was prepared. Before I went in to get the results, I went to my hairdresser and cut my hair off, just in case.
We started biopsying right then and there at the time of their initial scan, so there's no recall. We didn't have to send them away and have them worry and wait about having it done 2 weeks from now.
But it came back fine. And all thanks to the team, Meadows Hospital, going from one department to the other department to finally getting the good news. I'm 5 years cancer-free still.
Basically, they're the workhorse of the ultrasound department. They're used in imaging all different types of body parts.
So when we only have 3 and we have 4 rooms running, it can be challenging.
They could be in the middle of a case requiring that probe, and they have to wait for their colleague to finish or go searching in the rooms, and that can cause delays. It can cause patients to have to wait longer than they need to.
When there's a lack of standardized probes. Sometimes probes have to be shared and borrowed. And I mean, we do that when we have to, but we would ultimately want every room to be equipped the same way.
So that we can get all the exams done for any patient that walks through the door at any time without delay.
What's important in ultrasound is that you have a good contact between the probe and the patient's bodies. So with a smaller probe, we can look at babies a lot easier, and also we can examine what are called small parts, for example, extremities, fingers, the thyroid gland. And basically that lets us take better images, and we can diagnose things much easier and more accurately. So the cardiac and pediatric probes are very valuable in medical imaging and ultrasound.
The pediatric probe that we would really like to have has got a very, very small, what we refer to as a footprint. So when you're dealing with a 6-week-old baby and you're using a probe this big, when you really need one this big, it makes a huge difference in how well and how easily we can do our scan. The cardiac probe is of a smaller size as well, so that we can get in between patients' ribs. It's invaluable if we're looking for the spread of cancer into the liver, for instance. We really need to see what we're looking at. And if we can't get a good window under the ribs, we need to go in between.
It's essential that as radiologists we have the best probes possible.
Better probes will allow the radiologist to give a more accurate diagnosis of what's going on and allow us therefore to make a better treatment plan for our patients.
Also important, what we use the probes for is in procedures. For example, doing biopsies, doing drainages. We use those every day, and the better the probe is, the more accurate we can be in our targeting of things.
So at any given time, we could be having an inpatient doing follow-up because we've discovered a tumor, because this is probably cancer. Then we could have a baby in another room. And at the same time, we could be doing some scanning of a breast to determine, is this a cyst or is it solid? Each patient needs to have that same kind of care across the board. Here are probes that we know that can do better jobs now, and it's imperative that we are able to keep up with the times.
Please help us purchase these probes to allow us to provide the best treatment possible for our patients.
Dig deep and do what you can.
And whatever you can give will be so very much appreciated by all of us at the hospital, as well as all the people that we serve.
Tonight, please, give what you can.
We appreciate that you do this year after year, and I thank you very, very much.